I don't even know where to begin. Maybe at the very start, before my daughter Emily was even born. Maybe the truth begins long before she ever took her first breath, back when I was young, reckless, and thought I had all the time in the world to fix my mistakes. I am 41 years old now. I am a mother, a wife, or at least I've been playing that role for nearly 2 decades. But beneath all of that, I am a woman who made a choice, no, several choices that have shaped every single day of my life since. And those choices finally caught up with me. Emily is 17 now. She's smart, funny, independent, and beautiful. She's everything I could have ever hoped for in a daughter. And for all these years, I've tried to give her stability, love, and a family that felt unshakable. But deep inside, I always knew the ground beneath our feet wasn't as solid as it looked. Because I built it on a lie. When I was in my early 20s, I was lost. That's the best word for it. I didn't know who I was or what I wanted. I wanted excitement, but I also wanted safety. I wanted adventure, but I also craved a home. And that's how I ended up tangled between 2 very different men. Adam was dependable. The kind of man who had a 5-year plan, who showed up when he said he would, who held doors open and believed in steady jobs and quiet evenings at home. He was kind, patient. He wanted a family someday. He wanted commitment. And then there was David. David was the opposite. He was wild, spontaneous, the kind of man who would call you at midnight and say, "Pack a bag, we're driving to the coast." He lived like tomorrow wasn't guaranteed. He was thrilling, magnetic, and completely unreliable. If I am honest, I knew Adam was the better choice for my future. But I couldn't resist David's fire. And so, stupidly, selfishly, I tried to have both. I dated Adam seriously, but I never let go of David completely. And then one day, life forced me to face the consequences. I found out I was pregnant. I remember staring at the test in the tiny bathroom of my first apartment, my hands shaking so hard I nearly dropped it. I felt my stomach turn to ice. I was only 23. I wasn't ready. I wasn't married. And worst of all, I had no idea who the father was. The timelines overlapped. I had been with Adam. I had been with David. And now, there was a life growing inside me, and I didn't know whose child it was. I panicked. I cried. I begged the universe to give me an answer, to make it simple. But there was no simple answer. When I told Adam I was pregnant, his face lit up. He hugged me, kissed me, and said, "Well, figure this out. We'll be a family." And in that moment, I made the choice that would define the rest of my life. I didn't tell him about David. I didn't tell him about my doubts. I let him believe the baby was his. We got married quickly. A small ceremony, nothing fancy. He slipped a ring on my finger and promised to love me forever. And as I stood there, smiling for the pictures, a voice inside me whispered, "You're building this on a lie." But I pushed that voice away. When Emily was born, Adam cried. He held her tiny body in his arms and whispered, "Our little miracle." And I wanted so badly to believe it. I wanted to erase every doubt from my mind. But as Emily grew, the doubts didn't fade. In fact, they grew stronger. She had Adam's warmth, his kindness, his gentleness. But physically? She didn't resemble him much at all. She had dark, stormy eyes that mirrored David's. A mischievous smile that reminded me of nights I tried to forget. Every time I saw those features, a pang of guilt twisted inside me. Still, I told myself, what matters is love, not DNA. Adam is her father in every way that counts. And for years, I clung to that belief. Life went on. We had birthdays, school plays, scraped knees, summer vacations. We had Christmas mornings where Emily tore open gifts with sparkling eyes, and Adam filmed every second like the proudest dad in the world. We had quiet nights, the three of us piled on the couch, watching movies and eating popcorn. To anyone else, we were the perfect little family. And sometimes I almost believed it too. But there were cracks. Always cracks. Like the time Emily came home from school, upset because a classmate had pointed out she didn't look like Adam. She was maybe 8 years old. She asked me, "Mom, why don't I have Daddy's eyes? Why is my hair so different?" I laughed it off. I said, "Sweetheart, genetics are funny. You probably look more like my side of the family." She accepted it, but the guilt nearly crushed me. Or the time Adam's mother commented, half-jokingly, "She doesn't look much like our side, does she?" I forced a smile, changed the subject, and pretended not to notice the flicker of doubt in Adam's eyes. Each time, I buried the truth deeper. Each time, I told myself I was protecting my family. But secrets don't stay buried forever. A few months ago, Emily had to do a project for school on family medical history. It seemed innocent enough. She asked me questions, she asked Adam questions, and I could see her mind working as she pieced things together. She noticed inconsistencies. She noticed that certain health conditions Adam's family had didn't apply to her. She noticed her features didn't line up. She noticed more than I wanted her to. And then, one night, she looked me straight in the eye and asked, "Mom, why don't I look like Dad at all?" My heart stopped. I tried to laugh it off, but the truth was, I felt cornered. The secret I had buried for 17 years was clawing its way to the surface. From that night, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I couldn't look at her without seeing the question in her eyes. And for the first time in years, I realized the truth wasn't mine to keep anymore. It belonged to her. So I did the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I sat her down at our kitchen table. The same table where we've celebrated birthdays, eaten family dinners, and shared countless memories. But that night the air was heavy. My hands shook. I told her, "Emily, there's something you need to know. Something I should have told you a long time ago." And then I said the words I had dreaded for 17 years. "There's a chance Adam isn't your biological father." Her face went pale. Her fork slipped from her hand. And in that moment, I watched her world crumble. That was the moment everything began to unravel. When the words finally left my mouth, there was no taking them back. "There's a chance Adam isn't your biological father." The silence that followed was unbearable. Emily's face went pale. Her lips parted as though she wanted to speak, but no words came. Her fork slipped from her hand, clattering onto the plate. Her eyes searched mine, desperate, confused, hurt. What do you mean?" My throat closed. I tried to steady my voice, but it cracked anyway. "It means back before you were born, I wasn't only with your dad. There was another man, and there's a chance I couldn't finish." Emily pushed her chair back, the scrape of wood against tile ringing through the kitchen like thunder. She stood there, trembling. "So all this time? You knew? And you never told me?" Tears blurred my vision. "I was trying to protect you." I thought, protect me? Her voice broke, rising higher. "From the truth? From knowing who I actually am?" She turned and stormed out before I could explain. The sound of her bedroom door slamming upstairs rattled the walls. I sat frozen at the table, my heart pounding, my chest aching as though someone had carved it open. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, hearing every creak of the house, every muffled sound from Emily's room. I wanted to go to her, to hold her, to beg her to understand, but I knew she wasn't ready. The next morning, Adam found out. I had wanted to be the one to tell him, to prepare him, to at least try to explain. But Emily beat me to it. I woke up to raised voices in the living room. "What do you mean I might not be her father?" Adam's voice thundered. Emily's voice, shaky but firm. "Mom told me last night. She said there's someone else. Another man." I stumbled down the stairs, my legs weak, my stomach in knots. Adam, please, let me explain. He turned on me, his face red with fury. Explain? How do you explain lying to me for 17 years? How do you explain letting me believe she was mine? Tears filled my eyes. I didn't know for sure. I told myself you were her father. You are her father, don't. His voice cracked. Don't you dare say that right now. You should have told me from the beginning. I deserved to know. Emily sat on the couch, arms wrapped around herself, her eyes darting between us. She looked so small, so broken. And the guilt in my chest grew heavier. Adam stormed out. The door slammed so hard the frame rattled. The silence that followed was worse than his shouting. Emily didn't look at me. She just whispered, I don't even know who I am anymore. That broke me. The days that followed were some of the darkest of my life. Adam barely spoke to me. He went through the motions, work, home, dinner, but the warmth was gone. His eyes, once so full of love, were cold, guarded, like he was looking at a stranger. Emily withdrew into herself. She locked her door, kept her headphones on, avoided me at every turn. When she did speak, her words were clipped, sharp, full of hurt. Why did you lie? Why didn't you trust me? Why didn't you think I could handle the truth? I tried to answer, but nothing I said could undo the years of deception. I told her I was scared. That I thought I was protecting her. That I didn't want to lose Adam. But the more I spoke, the more hollow my excuses sounded, even to my own ears. Nights became unbearable. I would sit in the dark kitchen, staring at the family photos on the wall. Birthdays, Christmas mornings, vacations at the beach. Photos of Adam holding Emily on his shoulders, of me smiling beside them. And I would whisper to myself, was it all a lie? Or was it real, even if it was built on a secret? One evening, Emily finally confronted me again. She stood in the doorway of the kitchen, her face pale, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. Tell me about him, she said. About who? I asked, though I knew. The other man. My biological father. What's his name? My stomach twisted. Saying his name felt like betraying Adam all over again. But Emily deserved the truth. His name is David. Her eyes narrowed. What was he like? I hesitated. He was different from your dad. He was wild, adventurous, exciting. But he wasn't stable. He wasn't the kind of man who was ready for a family. She studied me for a long time. And you loved him? I looked down. I thought I did. But love isn't always what you think it is when you're young. I loved the idea of him. I loved the excitement. But Adam was the one who stayed. He was the one who built a life with me. He's the one who raised you. Emily's eyes filled with tears. So what am I supposed to do with that? Half of me comes from some man I've never even met. How am I supposed to know who I am now? I reached for her, but she pulled away. In that moment, I realized something painful. Telling the truth didn't just shatter Adam's trust. It shattered Emily's sense of identity. And maybe I had been selfish. Maybe I told her not only because she deserved to know, but because I couldn't bear the weight of the secret anymore. That thought kept me awake for nights. Was I really protecting her? Or was I protecting myself? Adam eventually returned to our bedroom, but he slept on the edge of the bed, his back to me. The silence between us grew heavier each day. One night, he finally spoke. His voice was low, almost broken. 17 years, and you never told me. Do you have any idea what that feels like? I cried. I was scared. I didn't want to lose you. I didn't want to destroy our family. He shook his head. You destroyed it anyway. Those words pierced deeper than any shout. Still, he didn't leave. He stayed. And that gave me a sliver of hope. But the question haunted me, day and night, had I done the right thing by telling Emily? Or had I ruined everything we had for nothing? The house felt like a battlefield, quiet, tense, every step uncertain. Emily's silence was louder than screams. Adam's coldness was sharper than any argument. And me? I was left drowning in guilt, wondering if honesty was worth the price we were all paying. I never realized how heavy silence could be until it filled my entire house. In the weeks after my confession, we weren't really living together anymore, we were just existing under the same roof. Adam spoke only when necessary, his words clipped and practical. Emily kept her distance, vanishing behind her bedroom door the moment she came home. And me? I walked around like a ghost, caught between two people I loved more than anything, both of whom I had wounded beyond repair. There were mornings when I'd hear Adam making coffee in the kitchen, his footsteps slow, deliberate. I'd sit on the edge of the bed, debating whether to go down and join him. But every time I tried, he would barely meet my eyes, as though looking at me hurt too much. There were nights when I pressed my ear to Emily's door, listening to the muffled sound of her crying, her music turned up too loud, trying to drown herself in noise. I would whisper through the wood, "I love you. I am sorry. Please, talk to me." But the door always stayed shut. One evening, Emily finally broke the silence. She came into the living room while Adam and I were both there, her expression tight but determined. "I want a DNA test," she said. The words hung heavy in the air. Adam froze, his hand tightening around the arm of his chair. I felt my stomach drop. "Emily, no," she cut me off. "I can't live like this. I need to know. I don't care how much it hurts. I can't spend the rest of my life wondering if the man who raised me is my father or not. I need the truth." Adam looked at her, then at me. His jaw clenched, his eyes dark. For a moment, I thought he might refuse. But then he nodded stiffly. "Fine. Let's do it." The test was done within a week. Swabs, paperwork, waiting. But the waiting was worse than anything. It felt like sitting on a ticking bomb, knowing it could go off at any second and destroy what little we had left. During that time, I tried to reach Emily. I asked her about school, about her friends, about her plans after graduation. She answered with one-word replies, her eyes glued to her phone. I wanted to tell her that no matter what the test said, she was still my daughter, still the same girl who used to crawl into my bed after a nightmare. Still the same child who painted messy rainbows on the walls of her playroom. But I couldn't get the words out without breaking down, and I was terrified that if I cried again, she'd just shut me out more. The day the results came, Emily ripped the envelope open before Adam or I could stop her. Her hands shook as she read the words. Then she froze. Adam leaned forward. "Well, what does it say?" Tears welled in Emily's eyes. She looked up at him, her voice trembling. You're not my biological father." The room spun. I couldn't breathe. Adam sat back, his face drained of all color. Emily clutched the paper to her chest, her body trembling. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Adam stood. His voice was eerily calm. "I need some air." He walked out the door without looking back. Emily collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. I rushed to her side, wrapping my arms around her. But she pushed me away. "You lied to me my whole life," she cried. 17 years, Mom. 17 years I thought I knew who I was. And now? Now I don't even know where I come from. I tried to hold her again, but she shook her head. "I don't trust you anymore." Those words cut deeper than the test results ever could. That night, Adam didn't come home. He stayed away for 2 days, and when he finally returned, his face was hard, his eyes empty. He packed a bag and told me he was staying at his brother's for a while. "I don't know what I want," he said, his voice flat. "I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't even know if I can look at you without remembering what you kept from me." I begged him to stay. I told him I loved him, that I never stopped loving him, that biology didn't matter, he was Emily's father in every way that counted. But he shook his head. She's not mine. Not really. And you made sure I never had the choice to know that until now. And then he was gone. Emily watched from the stairs as he left. Her face was pale, her eyes swollen from crying. For the first time in weeks, she spoke to me without anger. Do you think he'll ever come back? She whispered. My throat closed. I don't know, sweetheart. I honestly don't know. The days that followed were a blur. I tried to hold everything together, make meals, keep the house clean, act like life was normal. But nothing was normal. Emily avoided me less, but the trust between us was shattered. Sometimes she would sit with me in silence, her head on her knees, and I'd want to reach for her, but I didn't know if I was allowed to anymore. One evening, she asked the question I had been dreading. Do you know where he is? My biological father? I nodded slowly. Yes. He lives in another state now. We lost touch years ago. Would you help me find him? My heart sank. Emily, I don't know if that's a good idea. He's not the kind of man who's good at sticking around. He wasn't ready for a family then, and I don't know if he's changed. I don't care, she said firmly. I need to meet him. I need to know where I come from. And in that moment, I realized I had no control anymore. My daughter wasn't a little girl who needed me to shield her. She was almost grown, and she deserved the truth, even if the truth broke her heart. So I agreed. And here's where I stand now. My husband is gone, my daughter is searching for answers from a man who once broke me, and I am left wondering if I did the right thing. I told myself honesty was the best policy. That my daughter deserved to know the truth, no matter how painful. But looking at the wreckage of my family, the coldness in Adam's eyes, the tears in Emily's, the loneliness in my own heart, I can't help but wonder, did I do this for her? Or did I do it for me, just to finally free myself from the guilt I carried all these years? So tell me, am I the asshole for telling my daughter who her real father is? Or was the real betrayal keeping the secret for so long?